And the highlight of that evening for many in the 80s would be the two Ronnies Christmas special. Anyway, I said to the producer, "Can you get me the big chair?" And he said no, because you see, he's a very, very mean man. A very mean man indeed. For Christmas, I went round his house, and in the pudding there was an AOU. And in fact, I knew that my producer played Santa Claus at a local school, and he sat on the children's laps and told them what he wanted. Anyway, would you meet and greet the two Ronnies?
The magic Christmases were the two Ronnies.
Really found it funny, and I was like, wow. And maybe that was the first time I was taking tiny baby steps towards, oh, maybe I want to move into the world of comedy by watching those two gentlemen.
Crawling down chimneys with somebody's present. I sometimes get stuck, and the soot's most unpleasant. Finds its way everywhere, right through your clothes. Gets in my navel and gets up my nose.
The two Ronnies Christmas show would contain their usual mix of sketches and skits, but also lavish musical productions.
We took more trouble and dressed it and decorated it, and the clothes were more luscious and more of that time of year.
For tonight we'll all hang out, tomorrow we'll hang over.
I was trying to think of something where we could both play Santa Claus. Yeah. And so I suddenly thought of stereo. Stereo was then, I mean, that's years ago, you know, stereo was then sort of quite novel, you know, stereo.
We're a couple of stereo Santas, see us in our place of work, preparing the annual fantasy. It's work we never shirk, no, never.
Ronnie as well loved the idea of Stilton and walnuts and port and brandy and twinkling candles. You know, we liked to make it feel like a Christmas card.
Let every man living enjoy Christmas, yeah.
The two Ronnies did Christmas. It was no small thing, I can assure you. It was big in every sense of the word.
One of the sketches we did was Alice in Wonderland, and this was built in our studios. And we had this, it must have been a 30-foot long table, which we did in perspective, so it was narrow at one end and it got wider towards the camera. And it was really, really lavish.
I'm the hare. He's the hare. He's the hatter. And the former is as loony as the latter. Your hat is on fire. I'm smouldering with desire for Alice in her winter underwear.
Alice contains so many double acts. It contains the Mad Hatter and the March Hare as a double act, the Cook and the Duchess.
Christmas Eve, oh dear me, got to bed at 3:30. Christmas morning, kids are up at dawn. Who gave Willie that hunting horn?
The King and Queen of Hearts is a double act. Tweedledum and Tweedledee.
We Tweedledum and Tweedledee. We're not really twins, as you can see. He's smaller than me, he's fatter than me, and we both like filling our faces.
But I do remember this wonderful 30-foot long table groaning with chocolates, mince pies, all that the two Ronnies used to love picking at.
Truffles and trifles and tipsy cake. We might go off bang without warning. Let's not bother with TV, shall us?
At the end of the 70s, the two Ronnies Christmas special was more often than not shown on Boxing Day. Christmas Day was reserved for Morecambe and Wise.
I'd rather watch Fulham at home to Chris. To Palace.
But when Morecambe and Wise left for ITV, Barker and Corbett's show became the centrepiece of the big day, and that's how it stayed for nearly a decade.
When Morecambe and Wise had gone to ITV, they were a major part of Christmas night. And I wish they were happening now.
A Merry Christmas to you. It's wonderful to be back with you and on Christmas night itself, isn't it, Ronnie? Indeed it is.
The producer said, what are we going to do with them at the beginning? Walking down the stairs, walking on, it's all been done. And I said, news at 10.
But first, the news. The Catering Council has promised that in 1985, the Sage and Onion Bullet will become generally available. This means, of course, you'll be able to shoot the turkey and stuff it at the same time.
They finished up sitting at those two desks, and it became absolute institution.
News has just come in that Sussex firemen have freed the drunken bell ringer who forgot to let go of the rope during the carol service and caught his ding-dong merrily on high.
Hundreds of people wrote in jokes every week, lists and lists of jokes, and one day a week we would read perhaps 6 or 7 or 8 pages of jokes.
And when it was all over, we both looked, and if we both ticked one, that joke was in.
And we weren't allowed to laugh at them, you know, this little rule we had, because we felt it gave the joke an added quality that it may not possess if we giggled at it.
Latest statistics show that 90% of all British women like shaking Stevens. On the other hand, 90% of all British men think he's old enough to shake himself.
We had done all sorts of work, and we were so conscious, so properly aware of our skills and our limitations, that we sat down and on paper worked out what would be the proper showcase for our various skills.
Peter, don't stand there all on your own. And Hamish! Come and meet Peter.
The two Ronnies, in essence, weren't a double act, but they were always associated together by the public. Ronnie Barker was the actor who was good at comedy, to say the least, and Ronnie Corbett was the comic, who was a pretty good actor, and they sort of met in the middle.
So tell me, which town in Scotland do you come from? You know, Ayr, I suppose, is it?
Ayr? Why do you mention Ayr? What's so special about Ayr?
Well, nothing particularly. Just a very nice town, Ayr. You know, I understand. It grows on you.
I do not come from Ayr. I come from somewhere quite different.
Oh, really? Where?
Wigton in Wigtonshire.
The two Ronnies employed a team of writers, but one mystery figure began to supply more and more top-notch material.
We got in the post some stuff from this man called Gerald Wiley.
Everybody said, this is really good. We must have more material from this man.
We got his agent on the phone, or a woman who lived over the road. There was something mysterious about Gerald Wiley.
When I get up to heaven, they'll say, out of all this mess, you've saved an ordinary man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Save what, sir? An ordinary man. Yes, sir, I will. You will what? As soon as I get back to the mess, sir, I'll save you a strawberry flans.
People began to suspect that perhaps this was David Frost writing sketches, because this Gerald Wiley seemed to know the business pretty well.
Tom Stoppard, who was with the agent in question, somebody thought this is Stoppard moonlighting and everything.
Finally, the whole two Ronnies team gathered in a restaurant and invited the mysterious Gerald Wiley to join them, but they were in for a surprise.
I had to stand up and say, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen, that it was me. I wrote them. I am Gerald Wiley. Yeah. And the voice from the back, Barry Cryer, said,
nobody loves a smart ass, and that was the end of it.
And I think he perhaps subsequently regretted telling us all so early, because it was a wonderful device for him to hide behind, you know.
So how are you, bud? All right?
Mustn't grumble.
Oh, yeah.
Mustn't grumble. I just thought I'd pop in on my way up to...
What, up the off licence?
No, up to...
To what, Alcoholics Anonymous?
No, up to the dance match, you know, up the club.
Oh, a dance match, yeah. Oh, thanks, Charlie.
Hey, Charlie.
Well, cheers. Merry Christmas.
Cheers. Merry Christmas.
The two Ronnies were a writer's dream. They were a writer's dream in that they loved words. You could tell that from the way they relished those, you know, clever words things.
Mind you, the beer was flowing like there was no...
No whiskey left.
No tomorrow.
Oh, no tomorrow,
yeah.
Whenever they dressed up as women, I found that, you know, like, cool, because that was kind of maybe the first time I'd seen men dress up as women, and it just, you know, because Ronnie Barker is a bruiser.
Hated it. My wife hated it. She couldn't bear to see me in the drag. I didn't like it, no. But people, it was so popular.
That doctor did something for Harry that not many doctors would do. What's that? Well, he treated him for a double hernia and he only charged him for the one.
Well, Ronnie always claims that he was unhappy in it, or that his wife didn't like seeing him in it. But I didn't mind it at all, because I've been very much kind of brought up under the wing of Daniel LaRue, so I was quite used to knowing how to dress up properly and be a little lady.
Ronnie Corbett, it was quite simple because he was had a very neat figure, wonderful pair of legs. So it was just a padded bra and a nipped-in waist and he looked fine.
He always looked just like his mother. Always made me laugh. Always made me laugh. Whatever he was, he came out and I said, "Oh, you should look just like your mother again."
Ronnie Barker it was a sturdy corset and a specially built bra.
See what the boys in the back room will have. I'm lonesome tonight, I declare.
Ronnie Barker said he didn't enjoy doing drag, but in fact, when the costume was pulled together and I'd feminised it as much as I could, he was marvellous.
For $2 a shot, only $2 a shot, I'll show 'em what's what and what's where.
The 1987 Christmas show would have a special significance in the Two Ronnies story. Ronnie Barker had confided in his comedy partner that it would be his last show, but no one else on the programme knew of his decision.
I'd completely dried up, writing-wise. And I said to Ronnie, it can't go on forever, this.
The series would go out on a high note, though, and was dominated by a lavish spoof of Pinocchio.
We built this whole chalet scenario with lakes at Ealing Film Studios. It was fantastic. It was a proper little chalet, and inside with all the working toys and dolls, and outside it was all like rolling fields and bridges. I dread to think what it cost.
What sort of poncy clobber do you call this? Honestly, I look like something out of a Tyrolean knocking shop. This cannot be. You can't talk and walk. I haven't put the key in your back yet. Key in my back? You trying to wind me up or something? We filmed the Pinocchio thing, proper filming at Ealing, so it already had taken on different proportions because Ealing had all this history of the Ealing comedy, so we were in proper film studios. I wonder if they had this trouble with the flower pot men. That would be the last show that Ronnie ever did.
1 egg over easy. Oh, I forgot you took the vow of silence.
Here, you, barmaid.
In a minute, I'm taking holy orders.
It was the kind of epic feel to these little films that was so exciting. And it was the fact that they really did them as though they were straight feature films.
You're all made completely from bits of wood. Where did you come from?
Well, I didn't come from flaming MFI, did I? Puppets!
Are you sure you're not just after my body?
Of course not.
Are you sure you're not just after my soft golden thighs and firm pulsating bosom?
Never. He'd lost his appetite and he wasn't feeling wonderful, I don't think, either, really. I thought it was sad, you know, because there was so much life in us still, and probably life in the programme. But as it turned out, it probably came to a timely end. You know, Gretchen, this may sound corny, but you've made a happy man very old.
When it had finished, I went back onto the set to get something I'd left there, I don't know what, and I was walking back and walking right through the set and over this little rustic bridge, and I thought, this is the last time ever I'm going to be in a studio like this and doing this sort of thing. And yes, it was very poignant. A few tears in my eyes.
And finally, a message for the ladies. If an old gentleman with a long white beard tucked something in your stocking last night, it was Father Christmas. If it happens again tonight, you've been goosed by a Chelsea pensioner. Until then, it's a Merry Christmas from me. And a Happy New Year from him. Good night. Good night.
The last show the two Ronnies did, the 1987 Christmas special, was an absolute landmark because it marked the end of an era, the end of those big production shows, the institutions. Eric and Ernie, two Ronnies. We will never see their like again.
With the two Ronnies saying goodbye for the last time, an era of classic comedy came to an end. But the BBC had already rolled out its new weapon in the ratings war, the sitcom Christmas special.